Yes, people, welcome back again to another video. It's your boy Dan here. Yeah, man, I'm trying to be a bit more consistent with the content now. Obviously, I just put out that Hinduism video, my reaction to Hinduism. Big up the 4 people that unsubscribed because I put a reaction to Hinduism video out. Anyway, forget that. I was wondering what part of the Quran to react to next. I prefer to react to the surahs and the chapters, but I was looking through all the comments, and most people are asking me to. I looked at what was the most common. There's so many comments. There's like 200 comments on all the Quran videos. And I saw that most people have asked me to react to the video titled "The Throne of Allah, Mind-Blowing" from the Merciful Servant channel. To be honest, I just had a quick brief look at it to know what it was. I prefer not to look at the Quran in this way because people just pick, not that it's wrong to pick out bits, it's good to know the important bits of the Quran, but I prefer to kind of discern my own meanings from things and then look things up that I don't understand, or get you guys to help me on things I don't understand. But I suppose we can do it like this. It's kind of a one-off. The video is 14.5 minutes long, so it's alright. Something I can stop and react to and talk about. But after that, I'd rather get back to individual surahs. I want to say big up everyone that's left great comments. People like Mo Channel, people like Ramio, he's Ramio1983. He's an Australian YouTuber. He left me a good comment because I was asking about like dealing with the mind-body-soul relationship, and he was telling me that they're scattered throughout the Quran. And he was saying that Surah Al-Rum, which is the Romans chapter, was a good one to react to. But I had a look at it and it was good. I kind of read the history about the Byzantines and the whole history behind it. But then I didn't think it was the right thing to react to right now, because it was more about the battle and the fight of monotheism over polytheism. So that wasn't the correct one right now. Big up everyone that's reacted here. Big up East Coast 993 from New York. Big up everyone, man, around the world. There's a lot of people in Saudi Arabia, UK, US, Sweden. So yeah, man, it's great. So yeah, as I said, I've looked through all the videos, and this is like one of the most popular ones that people have asked me to react to, The Throne of Allah, Mind-Blowing. So yeah, let's get into that. Let's see what they have to say. I looked at a few minutes of it just to see what it was. But yeah, man, let's get into it, see what they say. Let's see why The Throne of Allah is entitled The Throne of Allah, Mind-Blowing. Alright, let's get into the video. This is The Throne of Allah, Mind-Blowing. This is on the Merciful Servant YouTube page. 4.5 million views so far. 99,000 likes. So yeah, let's give it a go. In no possible way is video going to show you anything of the unseen world. Viewers' understanding is very important. Okay.
All the praise is for Allah, who is the author of all existence and the most generous to his creation, while he is also the all-compelling. He is the only one worthy of our worship, having no partners, no associates, no sons, no daughters, no one whom he must consult, and no one or anything which has any comparison with him. All the praise is for Allah, who is the King of all who claim sovereignty, the only one who has the right to legislate for his creatures. He is the giver of life. He is the causer of death, while death has no effect upon him, because he is the ever-living, the self-subsisting, the eternal, and the only absolute. All the praise is for Allah, who has power over all things, and there is in reality no power and no strength, no influence to cause benefit or detriment except through him. It is he who created this complex world, the seen and the unseen, the evident and the speculative, the earth and all that is on it, and everything that is in it. It is he who sent his messengers and prophets, alayhimus salam, with the common message of strict monotheism, which simply means that there's absolutely no one worthy of worship, no one worthy of our obedience, except the Almighty, the One, the Absolute, and who has no partners.
The earlier messages, which changed the world and the area in which the prophets were sent, those messages we know have changed. And even the prophets who brought them, their names are now lost. We just know in general, because Allah told us in the Quran, وَلَقَدْ بَعَثْنَا فِي كُلِّ أُمَّةٍ رَسُولًا أَنْ يَعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ وَاجْتَنِبُوا الطَّاغُوتَ. I've sent to every nation a messenger, calling people to worship Allah alone and to avoid the worship of false gods. This essential message has been preserved in Islam in a way that it was never preserved before. Not because the message was different, because it was the same message, but because of the fact that there would be no other prophets who would come after Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So therefore that message now had to be protected. It had to be preserved in a way none of the earlier messages were preserved.
I will relate this. What you say, you have come to know 40 years back. And what you call the Big Bang is already mentioned in the book which I read, the glorious Quran. It's mentioned 1400 years ago in Surah Anbiya, chapter number 21, verse number 30, which says, Avalam yaral lazina kafaru. Do not the unbelievers see anna samawati wal arda kanat ratkan fataqnahuma, that the heaven and the earth were joined together and we showed them asunder. What you're talking about, the Big Bang, I try to imagine compressing a spring. I push it closer and closer and closer together, so it's smaller and smaller and smaller, and I've stored a tremendous amount of energy in that spring, and when I let it go, it bursts out, it bursts out, it bursts out. The creation of the universe, which you came to know 40 years back, is already mentioned in this book, the glorious Quran, 1400 years ago. Who could have mentioned that in the Quran? So they will say, maybe someone wrote, maybe it's a fluke, maybe it's a guesswork.
A human being, regardless of who they are, or where they are, or what they do, will have this curiosity. They'll want to know, why am I here? How did I get here? And do I have a purpose? And if so, what is it? The only one who would really be able to answer that question would be the Creator himself. If there is a Creator, it would be up to him to tell us why we were created and what he expects from us and what this life is really about. Allah has shown the people from the time of Adam until right now, has shown the people what he wants from them. And it's a very simple thing, and that is that worship be for him alone without any partners. In fact, we know this life to be a test from Almighty God. That's why we're born, and that's why we die. Because there has to be a beginning and an end for us to be tested on. The next life no one will ever die again. A bad person or a good person. Both are brought back, and they continue to live in the next life, either in good shape or not so good shape, depending on how they did on the test. The worship of the God of Abraham, that was what was taught by these prophets.
The Lord of the Arsh and Kursi. We're talking about the Lord of the worlds. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. We're talking about the Lord of the entire universe and beyond. The entire universe and beyond. You know, we live in this dunya, and we are fascinated with this dunya which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala indeed has created in a beautiful manner. We're fascinated. There are over billions of people which live on this dunya at this moment in time. Over 6 billion people that live on the dunya at this moment in time. This dunya of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is so big that there is space in this dunya for billions and billions and billions or more people. But what is this dunya in comparison to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created out there? This dunya is insignificant. This dunya is meaningless to Allah. It means nothing. It is worthless. So worthless. Compare it with the sun. The sun is one.
I'm not sure where he's going with that one. I don't agree with that there. Do you know how perfect this place, this earth has to be to hold life? It's what science called a Goldilocks zone. It's in the perfect distance between the sun, and it has a moon that rotates at the perfect distance away to maintain the tides, to maintain the animal life, the sea life, to provide night and day in a 24-hour cycle that us humans can use for us humans use for our survival. To say it's worthless because it's not as big as the sun, which is giving us the life, is I think I know what he's getting at. Maybe like the grandiose, the grandness of the sun and how powerful it is, and what it does for this whole solar system, like many of the suns out there which provide life for their planets. But to say it's insignificant is strange. That's a bit of a strange way to talk, in my opinion. But let's see where he's going with it.
You know more science than me. You'll be able to tell me better. Take this planet Earth and you place it inside the sun, and you will be able to place 1.3 million Earths in the sun. 1.3 million Earths in the sun. Allahu Akbar. Allah is the greatest. The sun is one star. One star. There are stars out there which are millions of times bigger than the sun. You tell me this, that you need millions and millions of stars to make one galaxy. And then you tell me this, that there are zillions of galaxies out there. Let me tell you on top of this, my friend. After this, whatever you see above, when you raise your head and you look above, whatever you see above, the zillions and zillions and zillions of galaxies, let me tell you, everything there is within the first heaven. Everything there is within the first heaven, and Allah is the creator of 7 heavens. 7 heavens. And the distance between the first heaven and the second heaven is 500 years. You know the distance that can be covered in 500 years? At what speed? Only Allah knows. Only Allah knows. But it will take 500 years to get from the first heaven to the second heaven. 500 years from the second to the third, third to the fourth, fourth to the fifth, fifth to the sixth, sixth to the seventh. Every time it will take 500 years. After the 7 heavens, وَسِعَ كُرْسِيُّهُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. You all read the Ayatul Kursi. You all know the Ayatul Kursi. After this, you have the Kursi of Allah. You have the chair of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know these 7 heavens that we've just talked about? In comparison to the kursi of Allah, they're non-existent. They're meaningless.
That is very interesting there. Many teachings and religions teach of 7 dimensions, 7 densities. Here they talk of 7 heavens. It's slightly different. I'm not sure if, I'm not saying it's been misunderstood, but in other teachings such as Buddhism, such as the Law of One, such as I think in Jainism as well, they teach that there's the densities of existence. We're currently in the 3rd density of existence. The first density of existence is when souls live as the elements. The second density of existence is when souls live as animals. The 3rd density of existence is when souls become conscious and they live as human beings. The 4th density of existence is when souls experience the law of one and the law of oneness, and they, as a societal complex, reach a new level of spiritual evolution. Then you have the 5th and the 6th and the 7th. So, and there's time frames between that. Currently, I think they say our 3rd density started 75,000 years ago, and it's got approximately 100 to 700 years left before we reach. Our 3rd, and we've got about 107 to 700 years left. Between 100 and 700 years left until we reach the 4th density, which you might call the 4th heaven. In here, they're saying as literal heavens, as in literal galaxies. I mean, not literal galaxies, like literal universes. I guess he said each heaven, with all its galaxies, is a separate heaven. It's a slightly different understanding, and obviously some of the other philosophies and religions and teachings. But it's an interesting take on it. The 500-year thing's interesting. Like you said, what speed is that at exactly? Or is that just 500 years in time? Maybe it's not literal travelling from one heaven to the other, but like they teach in Buddhism and the Law of One, for example, that is approximately 75,000 years that this planet gives us to live the 3rd density, or the 3rd heaven, if you want to call it that. So yeah, really, really interesting. And the fact that a lot of them say there's between 100 and 700 years left of this density, of this 3rd dimension life. That's really interesting. The fact that he said 500 and a lot of the texts say 100 to 700 years. It's totally congruent with it, and it lines up with it. Yeah, very interesting. I'm not saying I've discovered any kind of definition beyond what maybe traditional Islam understands by it, but I'm just trying to I'm just saying what I know in reference to the knowledge that I've already studied. So yeah, let's keep on. Using the word meaningless though, and meaningless and unworthy. I don't know. I'm not to say what the word the man can use to describe. He's trying to make a point, obviously, about the grandiosity of God's creation and the 7 heavens, or the 7 densities, all the 7 universes. So yeah. All right, let's keep going.
Rasulullah has given an example in a hadith, just to give us a little bit of understanding with regards to the 7 heavens in comparison to the kursi of Allah. Take a ring from your finger, take it off, the small ring that you have, and place it.
Sorry, yeah, also that's what they say in those other traditions, or those other teachings that I was talking about. After the 7th density, or the 7th heaven as he calls it, the 8th density, you return to the Creator. And then it's not known what happens after that. So this also lines up with it, which that's really impressive, to be fair.
Sit in a desert, the Sahara Desert. It's the biggest desert in the world.
Why has no one drawn these comparisons between all these religions and teachings? Like, even in Hinduism, they teach of Brahman, who's the supreme God, the supreme creator, not the God with the small g, the God with the big G, the supreme creator, Brahman. He is above all the densities, all the heavens, you reach him once you evolve. They say through reincarnation. I know Islam don't believe reincarnation. They teach through the test of life and then judgment and then afterlife. And then I'm not sure how you move up through the heavens in that sense, but I know that's the Islamic teaching. But why is no one drawing these comparisons and showing all the teachings are actually so closely aligned? Like, it's crazy, man.
That ring that we take off from our fingers and place it in the Sahara Desert, what comparison is in between the ring and the Sahara Desert? Nothing. Nothing. The 7 heavens is the ring, and the Kursi of Allah is the Sahara Desert. After the Kursi of Allah, you have the Arsh of Allah. وَكَانَ عَرْشُهُ عَلَى الْمَاءِ. You have the Arsh of Allah. Again, Rasulullah has explained, so just so that we can understand. Take the ring, place it in the desert. This time, the ring is the Kursi and the Arsh is the desert. What is the Kursi in comparison to the Arsh of Allah? Nothing. Then you have angels which carry the Arsh of Allah. Their heads are in the 7th heaven and their feet are in the lowest earth. My friends, then you have the Lord of the Arsh, which is simple. لا تدركه الأبصار ويدرك الأبصار وهو اللطيف الخبير. He is beyond the size of Allah. Who Allah is, what Allah is. The greatness of Allah is beyond the comprehension of my little mind. This is the being that you and I are messing with.
Wow, okay, very, very cool, man. Very cool, very interesting. I'm actually glad I did this one now because the 7 heavens is something I've been really interested in, or the 7 densities, as I mentioned. It mentions it in Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, Taoism, and the law of one, the raw material also. Actually, I'll show you a diagram from the law of one, the raw material, which explains what I'm talking about. Just let my computer save this. I think that will probably be a good eye-opener for a lot of you. Don't take it as any offense, as I'm trying to say the traditional interpretation of the message is not what it should be in terms of physical heavens. I'm not saying that at all, but let's just have a look at it, and I'll explain it a bit to you and see what you think about that. So as you can see here is the 7 densities, or the 7 heavens, as explained in Islam, but here it is from the raw material, which really lines up amazingly with the teachings that we've just heard in the Throne of Allah video, and obviously Islamic teachings. So as we can see, you have the first density, which means when the souls existed in forms of minerals and elements, so fire, mineral, liquid. The souls then graduate to live in the second density, or the second heaven, when they live, then souls evolve to a point where they have self-motivated action and self-determined action, and growth through self-determined action. So then that means your soul lives as a plant or an animal. Then you have the third density, which we are now. It's the first level of awareness, consciousness of spirit. The difference between us and animals is that animals have a mind and a body like us, but we're conscious of it. An animal can't look at his body and say, okay, I understand that my heart is pumping blood, or I'm breathing in air and oxygen, it's going into my blood, the blood is pumping these oxygenated blood cells around my body, and that's why I'm able to live and breathe and move, and my muscles are able to flex and my bones are able to function. An animal can't understand that. So we are the first level of consciousness. We're conscious of being alive and aware, and we're conscious of being a soul inside a body and a mind. Sometimes you as the soul, your mind says stuff which you don't agree with, or that you don't believe, or you don't think. They're not your wants, your needs, your tendencies, they're not even your opinions. So sometimes the fact that we can be like, whoa, you can take the mind to the side, we can look at the mind and say, whoa, that's not me, that's not what I believe, that's not what I think. This is self-awareness, this is consciousness of you being a soul inside a body. The fact that you can step aside and say, whoa, okay, I'm going to look at my mind and say it's doing this and this. Maybe I watched a scary film last night, my mind is taking it in, it's become disturbed by that. When I go to sleep, I may have a bad dream about that scary film. Just a silly example, for example. It's not you who's really wanting to think and dream about this horrific, scary film at night, but your mind, you can see that your mind is a tool for you, the soul, and you're able to view that mind and see it because you're now aware, you're now a consciously aware being, which is a third density being, what they call a third density being, which is humankind, human being. So you're able to have abstract thought and analytical thought. Then you have the fourth density, which is the further spiritual evolution, where you're now more spiritually evolved. You're vibrating in the level of love and understanding, where you share, you and your society and your, what they call the social memory complex, share your beliefs, and they say you have telepathic understandings. They say nothing is hidden. In the next density, the fourth heaven, it's the density of love and understanding, where you actually go and act as service to the third density beings, the lower density beings, where you help them and you teach them. You've then got the fifth density, or the fifth heaven. You've got the sixth density, the seventh density, where it says, as you can see, you become one with all, lose all memory and identity, and you become one with the infinite creator. Then the eighth density, as they said, after the seventh density, when all the heavens have been spiritually progressed through, you reach the eighth density, which the Imam was talking about in the video, which is you go back to the creator, you return to the creator. The eighth density, which they call intelligent infinity, you return back to the one infinite creator, the oversoul, God, the supreme creator. And then once you return back to the eighth heaven, well, you progress through the seven densities, the seven heavens, you return back to the creator. They're not sure themselves, these Ra beings who taught this, they're not sure themselves what happens once you return back to the creator. But yeah, so this is amazing, man. I think if you're Muslim and you want to study something like this, you'll get a lot from it. I'm not saying to change your traditional belief, but it may expand or expound upon the already learned things that have been taught, And in this raw material, they even say that Prophet Muhammad delivered the most intelligible teachings about the relationship between mind, body, and soul since the time of the Pharaoh Akhenaten, who also attempted to remove polytheism in his society unsuccessfully. So yeah, wow, excellent video, man. Good reaction. That's some great stuff there. Hope you enjoyed the video. Continue to like, subscribe, share. Don't need to unsubscribe just because I'll do a non-Islam video. You know, I'm trying to cover everything here. As you can see, I've got an interest in everything: Buddhism, Taoism, raw material, Islam, Christianity. So yeah, man. Anyway, all good. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace.